Hello children, how are you? I hope you all are hale and hearty. Well, I'm Satinder Kaur and today I'll be taking up lesson 6 of English for class 8. And the name of the lesson is This is Jodys Fawn. It's a beautiful story written by famous American author Marjorie Kinnan Rawlings. She was a pioneer environmentalist who reacted against the growing urbanization around her. Her best-known work was The Yearling, for which she got Pulitzer Prize in 1939. The story that we are going to read today is about a boy's compassion for a fawn. In the story, Jody's father is bitten by a rattlesnake. He quickly kills a doe and uses its heart and liver to draw out poison from his body. Now, as the father recovers, Jody's mind keeps going back to the fawn, who's left without a mother. What happens next? Let's read the story piece by piece and find out. Jody allowed his thoughts to drift back to the fawn. He could not keep it out of his mind. He slipped from the table and went to his father's bedside. Penny lay at rest. Jody said, "How are you feeling, Pa?" "Just fine, son." "Pa?" "Yes, son." "Pa, do you recollect the doe and the fawn?" "I can never forget them. The poor doe saved me." "That's certain." "Pa, the fawn may be out there yet. It might be hungry and very scared." "I suppose so." "Pa, I'm a big boy now and don't need to drink milk. Why don't I go and see if I can find the fawn and bring it here and raise it?" Penny lay quiet, staring at the ceiling. "Boy, you've got me hemmed in." "Son, I can't say no to you. I never thought I'd live to see another day. Can I ride back with Millwheel and see if I can find it?" "Tell your ma I said you can go." Here we saw that Jody could not stop thinking about the fawn whose mother was killed to save his father Penny. The thought that the fawn would be hungry and scared in the jungle kept disturbing him, and he talked to his father about it. He also expressed his desire to bring the fawn home and raise it, and his father could not say no to him. Now children, if you notice, the doe was killed and its heart and liver was used as a remedy to draw out poison from Jody's father's body. I'm sure you have heard about many such remedies and have also used some or the other remedy at some point of time. For instance, herbal tea for cold, aloe vera for skin, honey and ginger to soothe your sore throat. And I feel there's no harm in using these remedies for curing small ailments. But my question to you is it right to kill an innocent being to save another one? Was the family right in killing the doe? Do think about it. Now let's move ahead in the story and read a few more lines. He sidled back to the table and sat down. He said, "Ma, Pa says I can go bring back the fawn." She held the coffee pot in mid-air. "What fawn?" "The fawn belonging to the doe we killed. We used the doe's liver to draw out the poison and save Pa." She gasped. "Well, for pity's sake, Pa says it would be ungrateful to leave it to starve." Doc Wilson said, "That's right, ma'am. Nothing in the world comes quite free. The boy's right and his daddy's right." Millwheel said, "He can ride back with me. I'll help him find it." "Well, if you'll give it your milk, we've got nothing else to feed it." Here we read that when Jody talked to his mother about bringing the fawn home, initially she showed her disapproval and apprehension, but later she agreed when Doc Wilson, who was also there with them at that time, intervened and supported Jody. Millville also pitched in and offered to take Jody to the forest and help him find the fawn. Now let's move further and read a few more lines. Millville said, "Come on, boy, we've got to get riding." Millville mounted his horse and pulled Jody up behind him. He said to Millville, "Do you think the fawn's still there? Will you help me find him?" "We'll find him if he's alive." Here we saw that both Millville and Jody started for the jungle to look for the fawn. On the way, Jody kept asking Millville a number of questions about the fawn, like if the fawn would be still there and if they would be able to find it. Now, children, can you imagine how Jody might be feeling at that time? What was his state of mind? Was he confused, anxious, or just curious? If you don't know the answer, just imagine yourself in such a situation and I am sure you will get the answer. Now let's read further. They passed the abundant clearing, he said. Cut to the north, Millville. It was up here that Pa got bitten by the snake and killed the doe, and I saw the fawn. Suddenly, Jody was unwilling to have Millville with him. If the fawn was dead or could not be found, he could not have his disappointment seen. And if the fawn was there, the meeting would be so lovely and so secret that he could not endure to share it. Here we saw that they reached closer to the spot where the doe was killed and the fawn was last seen. Now suddenly, Jody didn't want Millville to come with him beyond that point because he didn't want him to see his disappointment if the fawn was dead or could not be found. Neither did he want anyone to see his joy on meeting the fawn. Children, sometimes we all need private moments when we don't want anybody to be around, isn't it? Now let's go further and read a few more lines. He said, "It's not far now, but the scrub is very thick for a horse. I can make it on foot. But I'm afraid to leave you, boy. Suppose you got lost or got bitten by the snake too? I'll take care. Leave me off right here. All right, but you take it easy now." Here we saw that although Millville showed concern for Jody and did not want to leave him alone, but Jody insisted that Millville left him there, saying that it would be difficult for a horse to move into the thick forest, and also that the place where the fawn could be found wasn't far. Now, assuring Millville that he would take care of himself, Jody moved further into the jungle on foot. Now, let's read a few more lines. Then a buzzard rose in front of him and flapped into the air. Buzzards sat in a circle around the carcass of the doe. The fawn was not there. Now Jody reached near the doe's carcass. Children, carcass means the dead body of an animal. He found a number of buzzards hovering over the carcass, but the fawn was not there. Children, buzzards are large hawk-like birds that eat flesh of dead animals. Children, let's understand a few more words before we move further. The first word is gasp, means to catch breath with open mouth. The next word is drift, which means to move. Next we have hemmed in. Here it means to be in a situation where one can't say no. Then we have a cons, which means small brown nuts. Then we have staring, which means looking at someone with fixed eyes. The next word is adjacent, means situated next to something. Then we have abandoned, means left completely or no longer used. Then we have mounted, means climbed up. And the last word is endure, which means to bear or tolerate. Now children, how about doing some exercises to see how much you have understood? So, are you ready? First, we have some questions with 4 options, out of which you have to choose the correct option. The first question is, Penny lay quiet, staring at the ceiling because, and your options are, he wanted to raise the fawn, he was guilty, he could not think what to say, he was not well. And the correct option is, he could not think what to say. The next question is, Jody did not want Millville to come with him after a certain point because, and the options are, he thought that the fawn will get scared on seeing him. He didn't want anyone to see the disappointment if the fawn was dead or could not be found. The horse could not move further into thick forest, or all of the above. And the correct option is, he didn't want anyone to see the disappointment if the fawn was dead. Now the next question, why was Millville afraid to leave Jody alone? And the options are, his parents had given him the responsibility to look after him. He had promised his parents to help him. It was risky and he too could have been bitten by a snake, or all of the above. And the correct option is, it was risky and he too could have been bitten by a snake. The next question is, the buzzards were hovering around, and the options are, the doe, the fawn, the carcass of the doe, or trees. And the correct option is, the carcass of the doe. Now let's look at a few more questions which you have to answer in a few words. And the first one is, what happened to Jody's father? And the answer is, his father was bitten by a snake. The next question is, what did Jody want to do? And the answer is, Jody wanted to bring the fawn home and raise it. The third question is, who convinced Jody's mother to allow him to bring the fawn home? The answer is, Dr. Wilson. Now let's go back to the story. Children, you saw that Jody was all alone in the jungle and the fawn was nowhere in sight. Children, just imagine if you had been in Jody's place, how would you have felt? Certainly, you would have felt scared, and I'm sure nobody wants to go alone in a jungle. But children, there are situations when we are swayed by our emotions and take decisions which are not always right. Now, was Jody's decision to come to the jungle alone right? And will he be able to find the fawn? Let's read further and find out. Movement directly in front of him startled him so that he tumbled backward. The fawn lifted its face to his. It was quivering. It made no effort to rise or run. Jody could not trust himself to move. He whispered, "It's me." The fawn lifted its nose, scenting him. The touch made him delirious. He put his arms around its body. Its skin was very soft. He rose slowly and lifted the fawn from the ground. Here we saw that after an intense search, Jody found the helpless fawn. It was too small and weak to walk and was shivering. Jody first tried to establish some kind of understanding with him by whispering to him. Then he slowly patted the fawn and lightly lifted it. Its skin was very soft and its touch made Jody very excited. Now let's read further. He skirted the clearing and pushed his way into the thicket. It was difficult to fight through with his burden. The fawn's legs caught in the bushes and he could not lift his own with freedom. He tried to shield its face from prickling vines. He stopped to rest and set the fawn down on its dangling legs. It looked at him and bleated. He said, enchanted, "I'll carry you after I get my breath." He remembered his father saying that a fawn would follow if it had first been carried. He started away slowly. It took a few wobbling steps toward him and cried piteously. He picked it up and carried it in front of him over his two arms. His arms began to ache and he was forced to stop again. When he walked on, the fawn followed him at once. Here we saw that carrying the fawn in his arms, Jody made his way into the group of trees and bushes, trying to save the fawn's face from the pointed creeper plants. But soon he got tired and his arms started hurting, and he put the fawn down for some time. He managed to win the fawn's trust and even tried to make it follow him. But after a few steps, the fawn started crying and he had to lift it up. Thus, Jody brought the fawn home, partly by carrying the fawn and partly by making it follow him. Now let's read further. Then he had an idea. He would walk into the house, into Penny's bedroom, with the fawn walking behind him. But at the steps, the fawn balked and refused to climb the stairs. Penny lay with closed eyes. Jody called, "Pa, look." Penny turned his head. Jody stood beside him. The fawn clutched hard against him. He said, "I'm glad you found him." Now back home, Jody wanted it to walk into his father's room, but it could not climb the stairs. So Jody took it to its father's room, carrying in his arms. Looking at them, Penny felt really happy. Now children, can you tell why was Penny happy to see both of them? He was happy for his son. He was happy because now his son would be happy. Children, parents cannot see their children sad. They do everything to make their children happy. They want to buy happiness of their children at any cost. Now let's read the last few lines and see how Jody further creates a bond with the fawn. Jody then went to the kitchen. He poured milk into a small gourd. He held it out to the fawn. It buttered it suddenly, smelling the milk. It could make nothing of the milk in the gourd. He dipped his fingers in the milk and thrust them into the fawn's soft, wet mouth. It sucked greedily. He dipped his fingers again, and as the fawn sucked, he lowered them slowly into the milk. As long as he held his fingers below the level of the milk, the fawn was content. It closed its eyes dreamily. Here we saw that when Jody first tried to feed the fawn, it could not drink milk by itself. Then Jody soaked his fingers in the milk and put them in the fawn's mouth. When the fawn started sucking his fingers, he lowered them into the bowl. And following his fingers, the fawn learnt to drink milk. And this was how Jody fed the fawn and saved his life. Thereafter, they shared a very cute bond with each other. So children, that was all about this story. I hope you liked it. Wasn't it a touching story? Children, animals and humans have always shared a unique bond. If you have pets, you would understand it better that there is something special about the way pets bond with humans. Now let's move ahead and take a look at some new words. The first word is startled, means surprised. Next we have thicket, means group of trees or bushes. Then we have stroked, which means to pass the hand gently in one direction. Then we have wobbling, means moving to and fro. Then the next word is vines, means creeper plants. The next word is quivering, means shaking slightly. Then we have delirious, means extremely excited. The next word is convulsion, means shiver. Then we have balked, means was willing to do something. Now that you know the entire story, children, I'm sure you can arrange these sentences in correct sequence. So let's try. The first sentence is, the fawn took a few wobbling steps towards him. Next we have, he put his arms around its body. Next we have, he skirted the clearing and pushed his way into the thicket. Then we have, the fawn made no effort to rise or run. He started away slowly. The last sentence is, he stopped to rest and set the fawn down. And the correct sequence is, the fawn made no effort to rise or run. He put his arms around its body. He skirted the clearing and pushed his way into the thicket. He stopped to rest and set the fawn down. He started away slowly. And the last sentence is, the fawn took a few wobbling steps toward him. Now again we have some questions with 3 options and you have to choose the correct one. The first question is, the fawn made no effort to rise or run. Why? And the options are, he was very weak, he was scared, or he liked Jody. And the correct option is, he was very weak. The next question is, the touch made him delirious. The word delirious means extremely excited, extremely scared, or extremely confused. And the correct option is extremely excited. The third question is, how did Jody bring the fawn home? And the options are, by carrying the fawn, by making it walk after him, or partly by carrying and partly by making it follow him. And the correct option is partly by carrying and partly by making it follow him. Now we have the next question. I'm glad you found him. Penny was happy because he wanted to raise the fawn, he was happy for his son, or he was guilty. And the options are, he was happy for his son. Yes. The last question is, it closed its eyes dreamily. What does this signify? The options are, the fawn was satisfied after drinking milk, the fawn wanted to sleep, or the fawn wanted to dream about his mother. And the correct option is, the fawn was satisfied after drinking milk. With this, we come to the end of today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. That's all for now. I'll be back with some more interesting stories. Till then, keep learning, keep smiling.